Afternoon everybody, second to the last one, 51. Oh my goodness. Christmas, it couldn't avoid it, had to go with the colours, had to go buy some new bits and pieces because I don't tend to do reds. Got lots of greens but not many reds, so here we go, tag 51. Yeah, I just fancy I want to do some like just embroidery. Let's do some actual embroidery. We've done embroidery all year, but just playing around with stitch. So I've got a really nice piece of fabric, not quite sure what it is, very thick, feels a bit, don't know, cottony silky mixy, there you go, there's a new word for you, new type of fabric I've just invented, cottony silky mixy. So I've gone for quite a substantial fabric, an off-white, and then I have collected together some reds and greens. I've got a few little beads, and we are going to hand stitch today. I've ordered myself a wreath for my door, and it's not going to be a Christmassy one because I want to leave it up. I like the idea of having one on the wall, and I thought, ooh, we could do one for a tag, an embroidered one. I thought it would be really, really cute. So I've got my tag. Oops. Just draw around the edges just so that I know where we're going. I've gone and lost my fabric pen, which is a little bit annoying, but hey ho, it's fine. So I've got a little tub that's about the width of my, well, it is actually exactly the width of my tag. So I'm going to draw a circle. This is just going to give me the basis for what I'm going to do. Now there's loads of different ways that you could do this, and you could use any type of stitch whatsoever. So I'm just going to go through the ones that I think I'm going to use today. So I might end up stitching the whole thing while I'm sat here. So I've gathered together some, I've got some silk threads, I've got some really fine thread, I've got some slightly thicker size 5 DMC perlé, I've also got a 12 perlé, then I've got some of the hand dyed threads from CGT, eucalyptus and oregano, stranded cottons, really nice to use. I've got a DMC red, so there's a bit of a sheen to it because the perlés can be a bit pale, and then I've got a little thing of beads. These are red seed and a bugle mix from Spellbound Beads. I'll come to the beads a little bit later on. So I'm going to start with the greens, so we need to go foliage first. So I'm going to go with quite a fine thread to start off with. Now you could do something, a wreath that goes all the way around. I think I'm going to start at one side. I'm going to go up from one bit and up to the other bit. That makes sense in my head. Hopefully it'll make sense once I start stitching. Okay, so I'm going to use a connecting fly stitch to start off with, just to give me two little curves going up the edge. So I think this one's going to be a little bit shorter to start off with, so I'm just going to start off with a stitch. Okay, right, so your fly stitch, this is where you sort of create a Y shape. So come up at one side, you pop over the other side and you go in and then come back up at the bottom of that stitch that you've just done. So I've come up at the bottom of that stitch and that thread goes underneath my needle, and then I create my Y shape, and then just come back up again at the side and then you just keep going. So this is going to create our little stems to start off with. Now, as usual, I have not got a plan at all for what I'm doing, apart from the fact that we're basing it on a ring. There we go. So, going to look at lots and lots of different, well, I say lots and lots. I usually say lots and lots of different types of stitching, and actually when it comes round to it, you end up just using a few of your favourite stitches. So even though I just said at the beginning I was probably going to sit here and stitch the whole thing, I don't know that I'll film the whole thing in real time. You never know, I might actually run out of things to say. Woohoo! I hear some of you say she'll shut up for a bit. So I'm going to take it so that I've got a little bit that it's going to be, it's as if it's all growing out of that area. Let's have a look, how far across do I need to go? Go a little bit further. So you could do something that's fairly symmetrical, it could be something that's fairly regular in shape, it could be a little bit offset. So we're just thinking of this circle using Christmas colours. If you don't do Christmas and you don't want to do Christmas colours, choose something totally different, it's up to you. I just thought I'd go this a bit Christmassy, mainly because I'm getting a wreath for the front door. Even though my wreath is not going to be Christmassy. I just loved them. We went away to Scarborough, oops, not a very good knot, the other week, and somebody had one on their door, and it was sort of eucalyptus and like these big thistly branches. Oh, and it looked absolutely stunning. It really did. And I thought, oh yeah, you don't just have to wait for Christmas. So this connecting stitch, it is so pretty to do. So I'm doing it with this silk thread. It could just be one strand of DMC. It could be a machine cotton. But I think because we're going to be doing this, it's quite a delicate shape. You don't want your threads to be too thick. Just realising now though, because I've done my circle right the width of my tag, it's going to end up being a little bit fatter than my tag when I cut it out. Oh well, it'll be fine. Okay, so it's quite nice using colours, even though I love using green. I have realised when I've been going through my stash, when I've been looking for things to do with other projects and stuff, red is a colour that I don't really have a lot of stuff, really. It's not really a colour that I do sort of like burgundy reds. That's fine. I'm going to end up running out of thread. That's a bit annoying. Right, because that's going to go right to the edge of the tag, I'm going to take that in and then I'm going to start it again here, because otherwise when I come to cut that out, I'm going to end up cutting my hand stitching off. So I'll be adding other things into it, so it'll be fine. Right, let's see if I can get to the bottom without losing Not running out of thread. Ooh, might just be able to make it. There's nothing worse than when you stitch. It's like when you're machine stitching and you have been stitching away quite happily, and then you just happen to check and you find out that your bottom bobbin had run out. Very annoying. Okay, there we go. We're going to get down to the bottom. Yes. Excellent plan there. That was meant to be. Okay. Right, so this just gives us a little bit of a foundation to start building our little wreath around. Oh, that's so pretty. I would actually quite like the fact that I've missed that bit there. Right, so let's go with another one. Now, I worked out the other day how to undo these because there's a hook. Oh, there we go. Managed to do it this time without stressing everything out. And then you just pull one strand, I think. Yep. Pull one, there we go. Right, this has got a knot in it. Cut that off. Right, so if you've got stranded threads, I wouldn't use all the strands, it's a little bit too thick. So I think I'm going to go down to 2 strands this time. So I'm going to do the same stitch and just start building up few more bits. You could always draw onto your background fabric if you wanted to, just to help you with what you're doing, but I'm just building up the foliage. So I'm going to take this round here just a little bit more. You do the same stitch, but I'm going to have them coming in to their little branches. Oops. Yeah, it's one of the things you need to make sure is when you bring your needle through is make sure that the thread goes underneath, not the thread, the needle goes over the top of the thread, and it's just as you're stitching, your little stick of your Y is the bit that takes it in the direction that you want to go in. Now it doesn't have to touch and have to connect because we're going to be adding other little bits in. Do that one, and then do another one. It's quite nice working on such small scale. You'd think though that it was quick. It actually isn't. I think this is going to be another one that will be a sit and do while watching the telly. We had quite a quick one last week because I knew that we were going to be doing one that was a little bit more time consuming. Probably should have swapped them round maybe because it's getting closer to Christmas, but sometimes it can be quite nice to have something that's just a little bit of a break from all the bonkersness. Yeah, let's do another one that'll just connect that one to the next bit. There we go. Oh, that's looking pretty. Okay, let's fasten it off at the back. And then I'm going to do the same coming down from the other side. Let's do a little bit coming down there. Oops, there we go. I'm going to be playing around there with different stitches. Do some French knots, maybe some pistol, probably some bullions. Oh, I hear you say, no, not the bullion knots. If you don't want to do them, you don't have to do them. It's fine. As always, you can do whatever you would like. Probably stitches that I haven't even talked about. So you can vary your fly stitches, make them teeny tiny, they can have long stems. You can vary the length and the angles of the little arms that stick out. Such a versatile little stitch. Such a pretty little stitch. You could just do it all in this stitch if you wanted to. Just do swirls. Swirls of green. And I'll do the same again, just pop another one on the inside. It's quite good just to keep going with that colour while you've got it in your needle. Just to keep adding little bits. So I'll work in the greens and get all that done, and then start playing with the reds. If you want to add gold in there, just thought about that. What have I done with those bobbins? Oh, never thought I could get some gold in there. Now I've got a bobbin from the ones that I used last week. It was a gold colour, which might be quite nice. So I'm just going to pull that out. Yeah, I've done that then. There we go. Tie that off at the back. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm banging things around again. There we go. Okay, so there's our greens. Look how cute that is. Really, really pretty. Right, I think I'm going to add a bit more green. So I'm going to go with the silk thread again. I don't think I'm going to use that one. I don't think it's the right colour. A bit too pale, I think. So come back in with the silk thread. think I'm going to add in a few pistol stitches. We're doing pistol stitches, or shall we do... we'll pop a few pistol stitches in. So pistol stitch, needle pointing away, thread pointing away, 3, 4, 5, and then you just get your tiny little knot just on the end. They don't have to be very long, so I'm just beginning to build up now around my, this is going to be my focal point that I want everything to grow out of. Oh, just gone wrong. Put that down. I went to where I wanted my dot. Better. It's not concentrating there, Anne. As my daughter Harriet used to call it, constant shaking. And she did actually used to shake. It was quite funny. So I'm wrapping it around sort of 5 times. Some little pistol stitches there. Get some going out this way as well. Love a pistol stitch. Once you get going with pistol stitches, it's quite hard to stop. So I'm just going in between the little sticks of the connecting fly stitch. Just making it up as we're going along. Just where you think it needs a bit of green, a bit of colour. A bit of je ne sais quoi. Okay. And then what you could do is, as you're coming around the edge, is just pop in your little French knots, just pop them together. So I've been wrapping it 5 times. As you're going towards the edge, start reducing the amount of times and you'll start getting tinier little knots. Right, so just do that one. There we go. Right, I'm going to go in. Let's see if I can find the gold that I was talking about. I think it's behind me on my table. I think. Let's check it out. Look at that, that's looking really sweet. Is it there? Yes, I can see it. A bit of gold. This is a bit of a thicker thread, so I don't think I can split it. Let's have a look. So I know it does fray and it does open up, but I don't think, no, it's not going. It's going to go fluffy. So it's fine. We just need to be a bit careful as to where we pop it. So because this is thicker, It's going to be a bit more intense. I'm going to build up my little base of my little wreath just down here. So what shall we do? We'll do some French knots just to build it up. But because it's a thicker thread, I'm just going to wrap it twice around my needle. Oh, that's okay. That's not too big. So just 2 times round. There we go. It's a slippy thread. Got a lovely sheen to it there. So what you want to do then is where you've got like the base of your pistol stitches and your French, your connecting fly stitches, it's sort of to start covering up the bottom bits with other stitches, and this is what will start making it feel like it's a lot more connected together. And you can do as much stitching on this as you want. It could be one of these little tags that you start and you're just having a little tin next to your chair in the lounge, and you just keep coming back to it and just adding a bit more. Oh, quite like that yellow. It's pretty. So where I've got the base of those pistol stitches, just pop in a few French knots at the bottom, at the base. It just covers up where they started. Let's do one more. There we go. Oh, I can see I'm going to probably put a bit more gold on here at some point. That off. I don't know where all my scissors have gone. They've all vanished. Okay. Oops. So, let's see how close I can get. There we go. So it started growing. Right, so I'm going to go with some of my red. Go DMC. But I want to do single strands. So the easiest way to separate your thread is have it straight. Just separate the thread out, or the threads that you want. So I've got a single thread. Hold on to the rest and then just pull. As long as it's in a straight line, it just comes out really easily. Okay. Been doing loads of different little projects and I keep moving all my needles. I must have so many different pincushions on the go, it's ridiculous. Okay. Right, want to do some little flowers. I want to do some tiny little chain stitches to make a lazy daisy. So I'm going to come up, see if that'll come down a little bit. Coming up in the middle. And then I'm going to go, oops, back down that hole, well, next to it, where it'll go, make a tiny stitch, oops, tiny stitch, make sure that thread goes underneath, and then just pull so you get a nice little loop, and then anchor that loop down. Go from the middle again. There we go. Tiny stitch. Create a loop. And pulled that. This one, it's about the tension of your stitch, because you want to keep it as a little loop. You don't want to pull it too tight so you end up with a straight stitch. So I'm just going to try and get 5 little petals. There we go. Mouse has stopped working. There we go. Inactivity. Your laptop goes off. There we go. It's got like a tiny little flower in there. Don't want too many of these because they're quite big. And then I'll probably play around with French knots. Are the way to go, definitely, with this. Loads and loads of French knots. But I'm also going to add in some bullions. And I think I'll probably do some bullions that are flat. But probably some little loopy ones as well. So it's just really playing around with any stitch that you know. Any stitch. Maybe have a look in an embroidery book. See if there's any that you haven't done before. So I think I'm going to do 3 of these because odd numbers work nicely. Probably could do with a finer needle. There we go. 2. I do one in here. So I think this is probably going to become a little bit of a labour of love. You forget how long actually it takes you to do hand stitching when that's all you're doing. You could cut a ring out, a bit like a polo mint, in fabric if you wanted to, and you could bond web that down so it gives you a shape to pop on. You could make something out of wire and stitch it on. It could be wrapped. So there's all sorts of things that you could do. I just wanted to just go right back to just hand stitching. That's where it all started. Oops. If you've got any any what? Come on. Brain function. any, oh, charms, that was the one. Little charms or beads or things like that that you want to add in. So again, I've got some thread left, so just come up this side, slot in some French knots. French knot, point away from the hole, wrap your needle round. Depending on how many times you wrap it round depends on how chunky your knot ends up being. But as you probably go towards the end of your stems, reduce the number so that they do get smaller and smaller. So when I've done all my stitching, I'm going to start adding some beads, tiny seed beads. You don't want them to be too big because your stitching's been delicate. You don't then want to overshadow it all by slapping in some massive beads. It's not really necessary. There we go. So started playing around with that. So I have a look here, just want to lay some on. Just trying to get the end off. Oh god, there we go, I'm going crazy. Okay, so what I can start doing then is pop in little beads in there. What we got? I've got some really tiny little ones. Like big ones like that, I wouldn't pop them in. They're a little bit too big. I've got some goldy pinky ones there. Loads of different ones. There's a lovely little colour selection, so I'll probably pop some of those in here, there and everywhere. Part of me is wondering if I need some, I don't know if I've got any goldy coloured beads. I'll have to have a look. Because I've got the yellow, I don't know whether or not to pop. I've got, no, they're a bit, they're pearlescent. I've got some green ones, but they're not quite the right green. Have I got anything? Oh, that's gold. Oh, perfect. Oh, I've got these little seed beads. Oh, look at them, they're pretty. Right, so we're chucking some of them in as well. So I'll probably keep the beads around this bottom bit and just have it so that the stitching just going up around the top, and then probably finish it off. Oh, I don't know why I just put a red bead there in with the gold. Contamination. Yeah, so I'll post some pictures like usual. That's been like nearly 40 minutes. So it's going to take me a lot longer to do this, so I will see you all a bit later on with some photos. Have fun, see you soon. Mwah. Hi, I'm just bopping back just really quickly just to because I changed my mind a little bit. So I've stuck it on to my tag so you can see, hopefully, if the camera's going to play. It was actually originally that way around, so this was the bit here that I started on and grew it up that way, and then when I was working on it for a little bit it turned that way around, and then when I came to stick it on it actually ended up that way around, and I probably stitched into it a lot more than I intended, because the fly stitch that I'd done underneath I had, excuse me, intended for that to show up a little bit more, but then I got a bit carried away with French knots and all sorts. But I really, really do like it. So it's a bit OTT, my little wreath. And then when I stuck it on my tag, I cut it out rectangular and I didn't like it. I've cut it out with the curved bits and I didn't like it. So what I've decided that I'm going to do is I've got another tag and I've trimmed out like a little frame. So top and bottom. So I'm going to pop it into a little frame. So I've glued it on. I've not stitched it this time. So all I'm going to do then is get each of the little frames, pop some glue on it, and then just sandwich that down. If I was going to do it again, I'd have probably done my circle a little bit smaller so that I could have got the whole circle on. Oh, could tell. It's the next morning. I was doing this last night, so I've got up this morning early to finish filming this. Not had my breakfast yet. Okay, so there we have it. Tag 51. I've stuck it on the wrong side because it says 51 on that side. So there we are, a little wreath. So I can't wait to see yours, and I can't wait to see you next week. The last tag. See you soon.